coming up on the Lead Ministry Podcast.
I had a leader say to me one time, which I thought was very painful, but very beautiful. And the leader said this. They said, Josh, we need to stop robbing people of laying up treasure in heaven. And that stung. It was like, wow, you're a ball hog. You're hogging the ball.
Now your host, Josh Denhart.
Hey, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of the Lead Ministry Podcast. I'm excited about today. We have a special guest, friend of mine. One of the ways that you can leverage an opportunity to not do it all yourself is to join leadministry.com. We've got a lot of courses. We even have some coaching opportunities. We'll talk about that in a little bit. But now, my friend, Kristi Williams. Good to see you, Kristi.
Hey, Josh. Thanks.
Thanks for being here. Hey, grateful. You are a friend. I've known you for a number of years. Also, you are a certified, if I had a drum roll, I would put it in right now, a certified lead ministry coach. So that's kind of fun.
Oh, absolutely. And I will be the first to admit there's been many times where I did it all my own, and that wasn't the most productive. I was benefited by a coach in my early years, and I'm so thankful for that.
Yeah, I hear you. I think that is a good case of the normals, right? Where all of us, we end up thinking that we can and should, we're expected to do it all on our own. And then we have somebody wiser and a little bit older go, hey, how's that working for you? And we're like, not so well, right?
Right.
And so now you and I we got a couple of extra grays. We're the elder statesmen, right? Or stateswomen who are telling the younger generation, hey, whoa, time out. You don't.
Well, we have a lot of years to look back on, right?
That's
and
right.
We have a lot of wins, but we also have plenty of mistakes we can say, oh, that worked well, and I really figured it out. Or, ooh, I crashed and burned on that one.
Yeah. Personally, I think that some of my I'll say it very bluntly. I've told this to people many, many, many times. Like, the resource of leadministry.com is nothing but the corrections of all of my ministry errors.
Oh, and it's the stories that you tell over and over to warn people, hey, don't do that. There's a much better way. I can tell you, I figured it out the second time around.
Yeah, that's so true. Well, I'm very, very grateful. We'll dip to you as a ministry coach a little bit later, but kind of just give us just a little bit of an introduction to yourself and who you are, what you've accomplished. Kind of just give us a little overview, would you, Kristi?
Oh, sure. Well, my start in ministry was very unexpected. I really had the model that you could marry a pastor and play the piano or go overseas. And I thought I would go overseas. And then God dropped me into local church ministry. And as I mentioned, I got to have a mentor coach to work with for my first several years of ministry. And then accomplished seminary back in the day where you had to go to seminary.
Yeah, like physically.
Yes. And after seminary degrees, came back into full-time church ministry. So along the way, I've served multiple sizes of churches, church plants, ethnic churches, which has been really an exciting way to be a part of God's current strategy to reach the world. Yeah. And I'm currently in the Atlanta area at a mega church and focused on the preschool age group, but love to have my eyes open to the full range of family ministry and age group ministry.
Absolutely. Now, quick question. Inquiring minds want to know, and really it's just my mind that wants to know, can you play the piano?
Barely.
Okay.
That's what I said. God really diverted me because piano lessons were not going well.
Okay. So you're like, okay, strategy number 1, marry a guy, play piano. Can't play piano. Got to move on to strategy 2. Well,
that's exactly right.
I have to say, I have a lot of respect for you, and I had a lot of respect for you before you had cancer. But I have a lot of respect for you now that you've walked through cancer.
Well, it's just amazing the way God gives us connecting points with people. Yeah. And I understand that this is just one more connecting point, and He's helping me understand a whole bunch of items that I just really didn't even know about. I did not even know questions to ask my friends or people I know as they went through cancer. So I'm becoming more aware of that, and so thankful that we're currently on the cancer-free side and doing some maintenance treatments, but very thankful.
And you know what? I got to say, your hair is looking awesome.
I said a special thank you today because it's not as mousy as I expected. Yes. And I just thank the Lord. Hey, it makes me feel a little bit better, but it's cold. between here and there. There's a lot of space for the wind to chill me.
Yeah, because when we first met, you had a lot of long, beautiful, just like you had pretty killer hair, got to say. But it looks pretty chic.
I mean, God takes us high and low, doesn't he?
Yeah.
So it's been an interesting path also to figure out how I reveal God's path and his healing and how I maintain privacy. It's been an interesting tightrope.
I bet it has. But I have to say, I was a little bit closer to you through this process. I mean, you have your friends and your ministry friends right there in the Atlanta area. I get that. But, I was journeying with you through this. And I have to say, it just continues to blow my mind how positive and how, like today, it's kind of funny, right? This will be a wonderful introduction and a dovetail to what we're talking about. How to view challenges truly as opportunities. And that's all that I've seen from you. And so we could do an entire episode that we're not doing it today, but we could do one on the life lessons that cancer has taught you. So, because it's been a real joy to watch you journey through this, truly.
Well, thank you, Josh. Several people just this week have asked, will I be involved in supporting those who journey through cancer? And I have yet to know if that's a leading for me to tackle. But one of the things that's come to my mind is so much of it is our mindset of adopting the eyes of God towards our own lives. It's easy for us as leaders to judge the lives of others and know what they're excelling in and what they're failing in and where they need salvation, where they need repentance. But to look at our own lives and know that we are not immune to human struggles, and then to share that walk with others, it's a hard thing. And it's also a very rewarding thing. Yes.
And literally I've got so many thoughts. We'll keep those for another time. But today, our topic is, and this is a term that you introduced to me, doing more with more. Now, just touch on that a little bit.
Well, a story that sticks out to me is from, I'm sure, a very well-meaning leader that I followed a long time ago, far, far away. And I began to hear that they could be described as a Lone Ranger leader. So many of the efforts in that department for the age groups was conducted from a central chair of leadership. And so when we got ready for Vacation Bible School, I was just there for a few months before that. And I started asking around, who does this aspect of Vacation Bible School? Who does this? And people looked at me like I had two heads. Mm-hmm. And I realized very quickly that they were counting on me to be the sole hub of all the effort for Vacation Bible School. And it was during a time where God had kept my plate pretty full with some seminary coursework. Sure. And so I didn't have the luxury to just put in the full amount of grunt work that I had done as a young leader. And I learned very quickly to take some people along with me. And the wonderful thing, and why this really fires me up over the years as I mentor other leaders, is that at the conclusion of that one episode of Vacation Bible School, both of the people that I brought along as key leaders with me said, we never knew this work had to get done. And so it was just the start of them understanding how they could be a part and how they could serve the church as leaders also.
I love it. So doing more with more, the tagline is, no more Lone Ranger leadership. Now, the interesting thing, Kristi, as you're sharing this story, it's kind of funny because maybe early on, we both alluded to the idea that sometimes we took on more than we should have done. But here you were in a brand new context, and you had learned your lesson. I can't do it all myself. I'm not going to run with Lone Ranger leadership. But this particular church did not have a context for anything other than Lone Ranger leadership.
Yes, and they really were going to struggle with accomplishing any more kingdom work until the people in the pew figured out that they were active members and leaders in these whole efforts. They couldn't rely on paid staff. There was no expansion of staff that was going to happen. So if any more ministry was going to happen, it had to happen with those who already cared about God's work in that context. Yes. And for me, it just really resonates at the start of a new year. I know that's a typical time where I'm thinking big. I have a little downtime with programming. My heart can dream. My head starts swelling with all these goals that can get accomplished. But how do you really bite off that elephant and start accomplishing those goals?
Well, I think you're exactly right, Kristi. I think that it comes down to, we got to be careful. But before we move on, though, I think it's super important. There are two types of churches that I've seen across the country. There are equipping churches, which is that's the big win. We're equipping the body to do the work of the ministry. And then there's the churches who think, oh, no, that was the pastor's job. Oh, no, that's your job. And we're just like, we're almost crippled. We are in the dark. You're the enlightened one. And so there's equipping churches, and then there's churches that truly they have a ceiling, they have a lid, because just like, as you said, you cannot get any more done than one person is a limit to the whole situation. Okay, so we try to define it, we try to develop it, we try to do it. And so these are the three big buckets for the listeners and those who are watching on YouTube. So number one, let's define this. I think people probably already get it, but just land the plane for us. What is Lone Ranger leadership?
Well, it's really taking the whole load of responsibility on your own shoulders and forgetting that you're taking away opportunities from other people when you do that. So you could think about all the decisions coming to the one main leader. That's a definite sign, a first sign of a Lone Ranger leader, where they need to control all the decision making.
Not good. Not good at all. It is, and it should be far bigger than you and you alone.
There may be seasons, right, for some control like that, but we want to think about the goal for our leadership, and the goal is to multiply who can make decisions.
Yes. And by the way, I like the idea, Kristi, that you just said there may be a season where it's necessary to have that type of control. And by the way, that's usually starting out. And we're going to set the tone. We're going to say, no. We are not Motel 6. We are Marriott. This is the ethic. This is the standard. And then there was like, oh, wow, we got to meet that standard. Once you've established some of those standards, then you can begin to release. So I get it. Initially, sometimes it has to be in your hands.
It might be during a season of change or some other element of the whole paradigm change and shifted that you need to take control. Maybe you've got to work on some loyalty issues. There's a lot of different reasons, but don't sit there very long.
I love it. You're literally a wealth. Like you said, there's some loyalty issues where all of a sudden you're like, okay, I'm new at this church. Who can I count on? Who is a great talker, but not a great doer? Right?
Absolutely. And if you keep going down the what is a Lone Ranger, I think of the times where I felt like all that effort was on me. Like we weren't going to get it done if I didn't just buck up, spend a few extra hours. And being young as a leader, I wasn't married. I didn't have a family. So I had some of that time, but it wears you out very quickly if you're not comfortable about that.
I had a leader say to me one time, which I thought was very painful, but very beautiful. And the leader said this. They said, Josh, we need to stop robbing people of laying up treasure in heaven. And that stung. It was like, wow, you're a ball hog. You're hogging the ball. Remember like in elementary school, right? Where it's like, man, that kid's a ball hog. Share the ball, right? Well, in the same way, share ministry. Okay, so number two, this bigger bucket is let's develop it. So the idea here is how to view problems as opportunities. So kind of talk to us about this. Now, before we clicked record, you gave me three big buckets. I'm going to read through them quickly, and then we're going to discuss each one. So number one, all decisions fall to you. This is a problem, but it can be an opportunity. All effort falls on you. And of course, lo and behold, all connections are yours. This is not a good thing. If all decisions fall to one person, it's a log jam. If all effort falls on you, you have a lone 24 hours, even if you're going to stay up all night long. And you don't know everybody at the church. Okay, so take it away. Talk about all decisions fall to you.
Well, it just triggers in my mind a memory from when I got to one of my ministry positions and started looking around and watched some of the key leaders, how absolutely frantic they were on a Sunday morning. And when you boiled it all down, there were 3 people who ran the whole department, and they knew everything about that department, but they were the only ones who knew anything about that department. And so whether it was checking in a new guest or settling a child in a classroom or somebody ran out of the snack for the morning, they were solving all of those. They were making all those decisions and solving all those problems. So a paradigm like that, where there's only one person who can make a call, it just slows a lot of things down.
It does. It does. And then I envision like a cartoon version where this individual now has, they're like, cartoons are funny because you can make things happen with a cartoon that can't happen in the physical world. And then like this one, like whatever, Sylvester the cat or whatever, splits into 3 Sylvesters, but his body is still tied together. And so it's almost like this rubber band, all these directions. It's not good. In addition, not only is it burning out an individual, but I often think of the line of people who were waiting for Moses to render a decision before Jethro came to knock on his tent door. And of course, all these people, and Jethro says these words, you are going to wear yourselves out. So Moses is going to get worn out. That's you, the leader. But then there's this line of people who are waiting for an answer.
And haven't we all left those lines? If it's been where we were shopping or trying to get customer service,
Yes.
All of us have given up on those types of lines. And when it's a ministry concern, it's just heartbreaking to think that people aren't getting the touch they need.
That's right.
And if you're the leader that's responsible for that, it does fall on you.
Okay, the other thing too that I think about, and I just taught this I did a little church consulting thing just up the road, and it was very special. We did talk about multiplying ourselves in ministry, so rather timely. And the funny thing is that Jethro, of course, his name means wisdom. So here comes wisdom, and he provides a better solution for Moses. And he said, hey, let the easy stuff be dealt with by somebody else, and you deal with the hard ones. So all of a sudden, snacks are out. Are you kidding me? I need to weigh in on that? That's ridiculous. I don't need to weigh in on that, but there are some others that I definitely would. Okay, take it away for number 2. Another problem is all effort falls to you.
Well, when you're young, I think this is a common trap to fall into because you have a lot of energy. And year by year, as my hair grays and I face health concerns, which thank the Lord, there haven't been that many of them.
Yes.
But once you start realizing that all of your time is going to work and you're not taking care of yourself, you're not exercising, you're not having downtime with your family, all those things really add up. And you're not getting, just like number 1, it feeds together. You're not getting to do ministry with other people. So overcoming doing all the effort yourself is a very big obstacle to get over.
Yes.
For one thing, you're taking it away from other people, but also you need to really evaluate, like, does all that effort need to get done? If it does, there are other people who want to share that with you.
That's exactly right. Another thing that I want to point out is we as humans, we move toward the applause. Wherever the applause is, we move towards that. And so the interesting thing is that as young leaders, all of a sudden everybody is really happy that we're such a go-getter, that you're like the Energizer Bunny. You get it all done. And so all of a sudden we're like, okay, so that's what people like. And then subconsciously we move towards that, to where a better thing is, man, you are a smart leader. You don't work hard. You work smart. You enlist other people. You develop relationships that actually multiplies the effort. That's the applause that I want to do for people, that they would move more towards that as an answer and the thing that is the highest order. Am I right?
Absolutely. That looks like maturing as a leader, because that applause may not be externally, but when you feel it and you feel energized that you equip someone else and you empowered them to do the ministry, it is super rewarding. You know, I had an episode that absolutely just crashed and burned. And it was a Sunday morning, and my part of the service was we were meeting in one room to get parents ready for baby dedication. We were supposed to travel down to the worship venue. I made one pit stop to check on one thing.
Yes.
And it just turned into disaster because very innocently, of course, I ended up interacting with a family that had a child with special needs. It just took longer. And we did not show up on stage on time. And I heard about that. So
I bet you did.
As soon as I finished that morning and my tears were dried up, I was just seeking the Lord. How can we take something off my plate? Because I, as a young leader, again, had kept on my plate what the previous person had on their plate. I was doing that part all alone and all during the time. And it looked like it was just a small little thing, but it wasn't in my wheelhouse. It wasn't something I really enjoyed. And it proved that I was going to fall down if I kept it on my plate. So I'll tell you, Josh, what I ended up doing, I just kept seeking the Lord. How am I going to find this person? The kind of person I think this looks like, I just don't know where to find them. But I want to just say that having that mentality and the openness to looking for new volunteers is a vital way to just keep expanding. And sure enough, it wasn't but 2 weeks later, in a random place on a random day, I walked into a meeting with a random person I knew, and they initiated the conversation. Hey, Kristi, I've really been thinking I might want to do something. It looks like XYZ. And it was exactly this gifting that needed to fill that one spot. And she took it from there and just blew it up so much better than I could ever do. And she didn't get a lot of outward applause, but she was so happy to be doing that role. And I was so thrilled
to get
that
rid
I'd
of
been
it.
lifting it up to find who that was.
Yeah, that is so true. Couldn't agree more. Let's do another one. It says all connections are yours. This one I think people miss out on. Talk to us about this one.
Well, I think, again, as we're all setting goals and as we're thinking about all we want to accomplish in the new year, it's really easy to think, if I just talk harder, if I just inspire people more, I probably have all the volunteers I can find. It's just so hard to find volunteers. I just think we're going to have to work harder and do more with what we have. And it really comes down to our spheres of influence. If we limit them with our sphere of influence, our ministry is going to remain limited. And at a big church, I know lots of people, but I still don't know everyone.
That's right.
And so I like to harken back to what mentors in my life said, that people attract people. And so as I've looked around and expanded different areas, I found that each type of person attracts people who are like them. So again, we had a situation where I looked at the visible leadership team for one particular program, and it was all women. Well, men weren't going to come into that because men want to be with other men. So we found a gentleman that was friendly to the ministry effort, activated him in a more public area. And by the way, just more men started coming. So you have to get beyond yourself to connect more people. You want more volunteers, but how are you really going to do that? You've got to make connections beyond yourself.
Yes. And it can be as simple as saying, hey, you're awesome. Who in your sphere of influence might actually love to do this? Now, the other thing too is that I never ever wanted somebody, and there's a story that I can't share for a time's sake, but I learned a hard lesson. Never just put people by themselves serving. I'm like, we got a person who's doing craft prep on a Tuesday. We have another person who's doing craft prep on a Thursday. Why in the world can't we have those two people serving together? So then I started to ask, hey, who's one of your friends that you don't get enough time with? And they're like, oh, Sally, I love her, but we're just so busy. I said, well, what if you guys did a co-teaching role and you were small group leaders together? So you guaranteed that you would be in Sunday morning serving right with one another. That'd be a great idea. So having other people leverage their connections, I think, is huge. Okay, let's kind of land the plane here. Number 3, we're going to develop this, like not becoming a lone ranger leader. How to continually expand organizationally. And I love the way that you put this. It's how to continually expand not just yourself, but the entire organization. So talk to us about that.
Oh, it's so important. We need to remember that the church is an organization as well as an organism, right? So it has all these fluid characteristics, and we are just one part. So as we are shepherding the ministries that God has given us, I love thinking about the mindset of any area of the organization is open for expansion. So whether that's a weekly program and different roles in that program, or just occasional events that happen, each one of those is an opportunity instead of just an obstacle of not having enough volunteers. It's always an opportunity to look for new volunteers and new roles. So like you said, you empowered a resource coordinator, and a lot of times you're going to get someone in a role and they're going to say, I don't know how to do this, but I'm willing. And so point number one in a strategic model that's very workable, and many who come from a teaching background have heard about this model, but I do something first with someone. So I don't ever ask them to do something that I wouldn't want to do by myself. And that's washing the feet of the disciples, right?
Yes,
following Jesus' example.
Now, before
we're going to move to,
watch this.
We'll do it together.
I'm going to do this really quick. So for those of you who are just listening and not watching on YouTube, it's a 3-step process. I do, we do, you do. So you just explain the I do. In other words, you, Kristi, you yourself know how to do this, and you know how to do it. They may be watching you do it, but you're modeling at that point. Okay, take us to number 2.
Right. So like for number 1, in my particular episode that I alluded to earlier, I took 2 key leaders with me, but I did most of the ministry and directly delegated things that I thought they could accomplish. But number 2, then the next year, I set them free to do more on their own, but I was hovering over their shoulder, so to speak. I was never with, so far away that they couldn't reach out to me and get assurance that they were doing it the right way. And by year number 3, in my particular situation, it was actually before that 3rd step. God removed me from that ministry position. And so they got to do it on their own. But it's so rewarding. And, I think it really follows a pattern of what we saw Jesus do with the disciples. So you refer to it in some of your material as having one special disciple that you love that's really close to your heart. And then maybe there's 3 that you hang around with a lot, and they're always involved. And then 12 disciples that you meet with regularly. But all 3 levels of those people that you're helping to expand, grow them as disciples, they can go through these models with you in different ways.
That's exactly right. And I think what you brought up is extremely important. And I don't want it to be lost on anyone who is listening or watching. This was a 3-year process when you did, and they kind of observed, then they did a little bit more. We did it together. And then you were out of the picture. This is not a 3-hour. This is typically not a 3-day process, depending on how elaborate the task is. Certainly at the least 3 weeks. But I mean, like this is the long game.
Absolutely. And, that's why it's so urgent and crucial that we have this leadership mindset from the beginning.
That's right.
In the story I just told, within a year and a half, it was very clear I had to leave that ministry setting. But, if we allude to like we raise children, I mean, many children are barely starting to really get their wings and feet underneath them at age 18. So if it took 18 years to raise a kid, it's not going to be overnight to raise up leaders. So we've got to be diligent. We have to be intentional right from the beginning. So if leaders haven't heard this message, this is vital, and it's a great way for a coach to walk alongside of you.
That's exactly right. Speaking of which, can you talk to us about you as a coach? I mean, you're a certified lead ministry coach. You are ready to be tapped. People can go to leadministry.com, go to the coaching section, and you are one of the options. Just talk to us briefly about that.
Right. Well, what I love that is such a great benefit from an outside coach is you have an extra set of eyes, and those eyes don't know everything about your setting. So they're asking questions and they're not making assumptions. And so they're really walking you through, and you're getting to hear yourself process. And sometimes there's just a strike of lightning even during that process. Oh, did I just say what I thought? I am exhibiting Lone Ranger leadership.
Yes.
And so walking through challenges, turning them into opportunities, and going around obstacles, it's a great way for a coach to join your efforts.
That's exactly right. You are an exceptional one. Even today, I think people are getting to see, Kristi Williams, there's a lot under the hood there. So I couldn't agree more. Hey, I'm going to run through these rather quickly. Somebody may say, okay, I get it. I need to do this, but where would I start to replicate myself? In the lead ministry. Yes. In the lead ministry material,
it's there. I told. Yeah, in the story I told, it was just desperate that I not continue setting up the reception for the families for baby dedication. Mm-hmm. It just needed the most attention, because if I ever was late coming on stage again, we were going to really have a problem. So you can start with that area that really is desperate and needs the most attention.
Yes. Now, the one that I usually go to is, what area do I personally like least? Okay. And somebody's like, wait, I remember somebody raised their hand one time at a national thing, and they're like, it's okay to hate one of the things that are my responsibility? Yes. You are not an omni anything. God is omni stuff. I'm a uni stuff. I'm just a one fella. So there are things that I don't like, and I want to get rid of those things that I don't like. Why? Because I'm very slow, and it's like molasses when it comes to things. So if you can identify what needs the most attention, that's fine. But what area don't you like? That usually includes what gift set I lack. If I don't like it, it's probably because I kind of stink at it, and I've just not been endowed with that. Now, another one is, which is the easiest to hand off in your ministry? So talk to us about that.
Well, all three of these final ones can point to one thing that's hard for some leaders, and I point to myself, that I tend to attract people into my realm of leadership that have a very similar mindset, gifting set. And so I really have to look for people who have extra talents and appreciate them for what they have to offer. And so, again, those become easy to hand off when I recognize it's just not what I'm good at.
Yes. And so, and you said this earlier, Kristi, and I want to make sure we touch on it. We tend to attract people that are very similar to us if we're not intentional to invite people that are opposite of us. When I was at I was on a coaching call yesterday with a gal, and I said, you need to hire or recruit to your very own personal deficiencies. Super important.
Oh, you have to. And when you think about the faithful few, very many of those people are faithful in what they see in front of them to be faithful to. Mm-hmm. So they may be very faithful to showing up for your Sunday programs, and they don't realize the breadth of the outreach that's available through your church. And so having the eyes to see, they do really well in this area, but if they just had their eyes open to opportunities that fit them, that are beyond their regular ministry area, they would just multiply their own reward from the kingdom.
That's right. And I think it's very interesting that what you just mentioned, because it's often through a lack of knowledge that there are opportunities that people, right? So then over time, I worked myself out of all responsibilities on a Sunday morning so that I could be present to go give tours to new people and just share with people, hey, here's the 18 ways and all that. They're like, wow, I didn't even realize that yeah, that's the thing. Well, Kristi, this is awesome. I'm super grateful for you. I'm grateful that you are on the team with Lead Ministry, and you have your own coaching thing that you're doing. Of course, that is in concert with all of the courses that we have. So very, very, very grateful. I want to have you back. I want to have you back soon. And thank you again for being on here. And thank you for educating us about staying away from Lone Ranger leadership.
Love being on with you, Josh, and love being in the trenches with other ministers. So let's get together.
Good. That's good. All right, gang. Well, God bless you guys. Thank you guys so much for tuning in, and we'll catch you guys on the next one.
And that's a wrap for today's episode of Lead Ministry Podcast. Don't forget to subscribe and leave us a review. Make sure to follow us on Facebook and Instagram, and visit leadvolunteers.com for more episodes and resources. Thanks for listening.